In this video, we'll be talking about how to create an engaging game through player choice and the power of suggestion. A study on the suggestiveness of individuals using placebo medication was conducted to see what percentage of the population was susceptible to suggestion. It showed that around 20% of the participants got the same amount of relief from fake medication as real medication. 60% of the participants got some relief, and 20% of the participants got no relief at all. This is in line with most academics' opinions in the field of hypnosis, in which the population can also be divided up into these brackets with regards to how susceptible they are to hypnosis. So how can you use this to benefit you with regards to game design? Player suggestibility is essential because no matter how a game is cloaked in player choices and freedoms, those choices are still chosen and designed by the developer in order to give the player the best possible experience. The trick then is to make the players think that they are the ones in control of the choices, and you can do this with the design model of suggestibility I have created. This can be done by dividing your game up into 3 design sections with regards to the choices the player can make in the game. Overt suggestions for the top 20% of suggestible players who will not notice being taken on a path expressly chosen by the developer for the best possible player experience. Conventional suggestions for the mid 60% of suggestible players who need the option to disregard the suggestion if they really want to, but who will likely decide to follow the suggestion for a more enjoyable player experience. Covert suggestions for the bottom 20% of suggestible players. This is mechanics and choices in the game that the player is not even thinking about whether to make because they have already decided that it is essential themselves. In order to better explain this model, I will give an example of 2 games that use this model perfectly. The first is Minecraft. For the top 20% of suggestible players, Minecraft has its main quest to defeat the Ender Dragon. Players will gear up, travel to the end and beat the game, watch the closing titles and get on with their life. For the mid 60% of suggestible players, there is also villages, shipwrecks and treasure maps for them to explore. These are not essential to playing the game, but the players will likely decide to do them in order to increase the value of their playing experience by getting better loot and breaking up the monotony of the game. Finally, for the bottom 20% of suggestible players, there is the mining and crafting element of the game. This is not something that the players even really think about when they're playing the game, but is a fully fleshed out, enjoyable mini-game in itself. The second game that we will explore which uses this model is the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. For the top 20% of suggestible players, there is the Dragonborn quest of Skyrim, which requires no other element of the game and is an enjoyable experience by itself. For the mid 60% of suggestible players, there are the side quests in the game, which players will take on because it helps level their character up and enhances the role-playing element of this RPG, but are not essential to completing the main quest. Finally, you have the leveling system. Just like Minecraft, players will not even register this as an in-game choice, as they will see it as essential. But again, like in Minecraft, the smithing, potion making and stats of the game are essentially little mini games in which the player makes choices as they venture through the in-game world. Before I finish up with the model, here are a few rules to remember when using this model in game design. Number 1. Make sure each section of the model stands on its own 2 feet as a mechanic and is not dependent on the others. Number 2. Make sure each section of the model is engaging and can take up many hours of play by itself. Number 3. If a section of the model does not work in your game, do not use it. It is far better to have a game that appeals to a small amount of people than a game in which the mechanics do not make sense. Some games are not meant to have a huge amount of player choice, and that is okay. I hope you enjoyed the explanation of how to use this model to implement player choice in your game. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing as I'm still trying to grow the channel. I also respond to all the feedback in the comments section, so if you have any recommendations on how I can improve the channel, leave them down below. Thank you.